Superman director James Gunn shares a major update on the Authority movie. Here's why we believe it should follow DCU's The Brave and the Bold reboot. Welcome to Stats In. If you're just joining us, please subscribe and don't forget to turn on notifications bell for more video. The DCU is gearing up for a massive relaunch, and one of the most talked about projects is The Authority. Even though it's not the first movie on DC's slate, it already has fans buzzing, especially now that one of its members is showing up in Superman. The Engineer, aka Angela Spica, played by Maria Gabriela de Faria, will appear as a henchman for Lex Luthor in the upcoming film. The DC Universe is getting a major reboot, David Corenswet's Superman is on the horizon, and James Gunn just dropped an exciting update about another of his upcoming projects, the Authority movie, via Blavity. Yep, the bold and edgy version of the Justice League. Turns out, one of the characters from the Authority comics is already making her way into Gunn's Superman. Yeah, it could happen. It's not something that's going especially quickly right now, but it could happen for sure. We're talking about the Engineer, aka Angela Spica, played by Maria Gabriela de Faria. So now, with her appearance in David Corenswet's movie, and DCU's The Brave and the Bold in the works, fans began wondering when the Authority will actually show up. Well, we think DC should wait and release the Authority after the new live-action Batman movie. Why? Let's unravel. Now that we're discussing the potential The Authority movie, two main characters from the Wildstorm comics intrigued us, Apollo and Midnighter. Even though the core team consists of around 6 to 8 main members, it's these two characters that have been the most famous, and for good reason. So, speaking with Blavity, Superman director James Gunn revealed why he included the Engineer in David Corenswet's movie. Claiming to have really liked the Engineer's power set, and the fact that she's a member of the Authority in the comics, Gunn noted his decision to combine the Wildstorm and DC characters in the DCU. So naturally, the follow-up question was then asked about the Authority movie. Although James Gunn didn't give a firm yes or no about whether the Authority movie is still happening, he at least got honest about where things stand. Admitting that the movie is still in the slow cooker stage, the director seemed to be planting seeds through Superman. Starting with the Engineer, it seems that Gunn is thinking ahead, and the Authority characters are definitely on his radar. Apollo is basically the Authority's version of Superman. He can fly, has heat vision, and even holds superhuman strength. He even gets his power from the sun, just like the Man of Steel. But unlike Superman, Apollo doesn't mind getting his hands dirty. He doesn't hesitate to use lethal force if it means saving the world. Then there's Midnighter, who's clearly modeled after Batman. He's a master fighter, tactical genius, and has the ability to predict his opponent's moves before they even happen, thanks to the neural inductive combat simulator in his brain. But unlike Batman, Midnighter has zero chill. He won't hesitate to kill if it means ending the threat quickly. Apollo and Midnighter are the most powerful, intense, and unapologetically brutal characters from the Authority series. But what really makes them interesting is how closely they mirror DC's most iconic duo, Superman and Batman, while also being their total opposites in terms of moral code and style. So now, we think, there's a very good reason why the Authority movie shouldn't rush to the big screen just yet. Because, before we meet Apollo and Midnighter in full force, fans need to be properly introduced to the DCU's new Batman in the live-action The Brave and the Bold. Why? Because only then will viewers truly understand the difference between the characters and appreciate the moral clash that sets them apart. So it seems that even though Apollo and Midnighter technically fight for good, their way of doing things is way more intense than DC's Batman and Superman. And while that makes them scary, it also makes them fascinating to watch, especially compared to their DC counterparts. Releasing the Authority after both Superman and the Brave and the Bold will also allow audiences to explore how different ideologies work within the same universe. What happens when heroes don't agree on how to save the world? And let's be honest, once the DCU establishes its new Superman and Batman, seeing them potentially square off or team up with Apollo and Midnighter would be a fan's dream come true. Look, David Corenswet's Superman is already inching closer to the theaters for its release on July 11th. And we already know that this version of the character is set to be kind, hopeful, and morally grounded. Meanwhile, the Batman movie is yet to drop. And The Dark Knight, especially under James Gunn's new DCU, is expected to stay true to his no-kill rule and carefully calculated heroism, driven by justice, not venge. Superman director James Gunn has an update about the Batsuit in his version of Batman, and we think that the director will go for something simple. Welcome to Stats In. If you're just joining us, please subscribe and don't forget to turn on notifications bell for more video. The director revealed to Fandango, via Variety, that he had asked DCU director Zack Snyder, who handled the DC Cinematic Universe before James Gunn, for help in deciding how to fuse the red trunks from the comic books into Superman's costume for his upcoming movie. DCU director James Gunn has an update about Batman's costume in the DCU after his famous talk with Zack Snyder about Superman's red trunks in his 2025 film. Although there is no final decision on what Batman's suit will look like in Gunn's DCU, the director confirmed that he was indeed looking at Batsuits from past movies and DC comics to get inspiration. Speaking with CBR, James Gunn said that he was a Batman superfan and far too confused to decide on a Batsuit. There's no decision made about the costume at all yet. I like many different versions. I'm a Batman superfan. And so I like all the different versions of the Batman suit. I don't know what we are going to do. Fighting off powerful villains and enemies, the Batsuit is a crucial part of Batman, and it needs to be properly addressed in every DCU movie that comes. But we think that James Gunn has got it. James Gunn has the opportunity to start from scratch, and as a result, he can have any suit that he wants for Batman when the character appears in The Brave and the Bold. Although Zack Snyder couldn't offer much help to Gunn because he himself went without the red trunks on Superman in his DCU movies, Snyder did sympathize with James Gunn, who was taking on the project of a very big IP, Superman. I talked to Zack Snyder, who was like, I tried a billion different versions with the trunks, and at the end of the day I tried it, but I just couldn't get there. And I was feeling exactly the same way. After much back and forth, it was Superman star David Corenswet who literally saved the day by convincing James Gunn to just go ahead with the red trunks. That decision turned out to be quite an important one for Gunn to establish his DCU separate from Zack Snyder's DCU. Lee's concept for the Batman was more of a sleek pattern with the rain just rolling right off the edge alongside a more tankier build, white eyes, a broader Batman logo on the chest, and more durable without sacrificing agility too much. Hence, Lee's design is the go-to Batsuit that people have known and loved for years. On the other hand, James Gunn can decide to go all the way back to the original design of the gray and blue suit of Batman with nothing but a layer of cloth to help him out. Maybe Gunn wants Batman to evolve along the way and create better gear for himself in the DCU. Of course, James Gunn can always go with Jim Lee's Batman suit, which debuted in Batman Hush in 2004, which is considered the most modern look of Batman. Not in a technological way, but the Batman that we know and love has been inspired by Jim Lee's designs. The third option is the Batman Beyond suit. The darkest suit that Batman can ever design, the Batman Beyond suit, is a radical improvement over the traditional Batsuits that have been featured in the movies. A high-tech suit with glowing red edges and curves, the suit is better, more refined, and has everything that Batman could possibly need,